Our correspondent joins us from Antalya. Amritpal, in fact, covered the entire summit for us. Amritpal, now overall deliverables, if one has to really wrap up the summit, we've seen your report clearly specifying the takeaways. But in the aftermath of the Paris attacks, the way the G20 grouping, the countries, in fact, the way they've taken the position to stand united against global terror, perhaps that would be the biggest takeaway.
Yes, absolutely. Given the fact that there were really divergent views on how to go about dealing with terrorism, it is a remarkable thing that such a strong statement came out of the G20 leaders. I mean, trust you me, till about 2 hours before the statement came at the concluding ceremony of the G20 Summit, David Cameron, the British Prime Minister, said that I've spoken to Mr. Putin. We hope wisdom prevails over him, and he stops supporting President Assad's regime in Syria and stops bombing the moderate, what the Americans and the British call moderate opposition in Syria. And President Putin hadn't, even after he met President Obama, he did not really say anything. So, everybody here, all the journalists here, we were very keenly watching that have the hardened positions not really softened. But, we were pleasantly surprised at the closing ceremony when such a strongly worded statement from all the world leaders unitedly came. So that's a great development in terms of showing solidarity, and this is the first time in the history of G20 that world leaders have talked about terrorism. But it still remains to be seen whether on ground the approach will change.
Yes, Amrit, I wanted to in fact ask you about that skepticism that still remains, because it was great to see how the Prime Minister's call found resonance among the other G20 leaders. But when it comes to combating terror collectively, his proposal of a comprehensive strategy, which is something new, perhaps that needs to be looked at far more closely by these leaders to have the kind of collective response that is required to combat terrorism in all parts of the world, not just in pockets in Iraq and Syria.
Gautam, I'm sorry I lost you. Could you please repeat your question?
Just wanted to ask you, when can we get something tangible in terms of a collective effort by the world to tackle terror?
Gautam, that is a big question, and that's an interesting question, because, finally when nations act, they act on their self-interests. I don't think that one statement at the G20 is going to change things on the ground much, because nations act, as I said, in self-interest. Yes, there is a collective understanding that terrorism needs to be collectively fought with, but I think what France would do is it will go on a hot pursuit against the Islamic State militants in Syria and parts of Iraq. The NATO forces and the West would support them. Russia would, I don't think be a very active part of it, but yes, Russia wouldn't be that opposed to them, and the divergences on the ground would still remain, because finally real politics catches up. But the good thing is that at least, there is a conceptual understanding that yes, we need to collectively fight terror, because terror could visit anyone. It's visited Russia, it's visited UK, it's visited India, it's visited the United States, it's now visited Paris. So that sense of realization could be seen, as that sense of urgency could be seen at the summit. But I think finally real politics does catch up.
Okay, so let's hope that that's something that can be surmounted now. And thanks a lot for joining us, Amrit.